Welcome back to the second part of our two-part series where we go through the most famous American architectural styles, and I'll show you how to identify them through just one exterior feature. In part one, we covered everything from early colonial through to colonial revival, and today we're picking up where we left off, going from Craftsman all the way through to contemporary. And don't forget to stick around to the end because I'll show you a really common architectural style that's being built today all over America, which is always getting misidentified. Okay, ready to get going? We're going to start with the Craftsman, and the most defining feature of the Craftsman was the tapered porch columns. These were wider at the bottom, narrower at the top, and usually rested on sturdy stone or brick piers. They created a very grounded and handcrafted appearance and usually framed a very welcoming and deep front porch on the Craftsman home, which was part of the arts and crafts movement, which really valued kind of the use of honest raw materials and visible craftsmanship over mass-produced ornamentation. So if you see those very sturdy tapered columns, chances are you're looking at a Craftsman. The easiest way to spot a true bungalow is by the exposed rafter tails under the roof eaves. Unlike more polished or formal styles, the bungalows were happy to reveal their structure. And although they were often grouped with craftsman homes, bungalows tend to be smaller and more modest, built for efficiency, comfort, and connection to the outdoors. So if you see very simple lines, a porch that practically invites you in, but most importantly, those visible rafter tails under the roof eaves, then chances are you're looking at a bungalow. The defining feature of the Prairie Style is the very strong horizontal emphasis where everything is designed to stretch outward. You'll see a very low pitched hip roof with wide overhanging eaves, groups of ribbon windows, and even bands of stonework or brick going across the facade, all designed to draw the eye across. The style was pioneered by Frank Lloyd Wright and his colleagues within the Prairie School, where it was designed to blend into the flat Midwestern horizon. But ultimately, it was the very strong horizontal emphasis which sets this Prairie Style apart. The signature exterior feature of the Tudor Revival, one of my favourites, is the half timbering, where you see dark wooden strips set into stucco or masonry in order to mimic the medieval English construction. Now, it's purely decorative now versus structural, how it used to be, but it gives the home an unmistakable storybook effect. Now, these Tudor Revivals also had steeply pitched roofs, very decorative chimneys, and brickwork patterns. But the unmistakable clue you're looking at a Tudor Revival is the half timbering. And this is also the element that is most replicated in suburban adaptations of the style. Nothing gives away a Spanish Revival faster than its red clay roof with those rounded barrel-shaped tiles. The style also includes white stucco walls, arched doorways, and wrought iron accents, but without a doubt, it's that signature roof that gives it away. These days, they're often not made with the clay material anymore because newer builds are favouring composite materials which are lighter, cheaper, and better suited to a whole range of different environments. But nonetheless, it is still the iconic colour and shape of the tile which identifies the Spanish Revival house. The feature that stands out the most on the Mediterranean Revival is the wrought iron accents in the form of balconies, window grilles, and kind of decorative scroll. While there is a lot in common between the Mediterranean and the Spanish Revival architectural styles, the Mediterranean is more formal, more symmetrical, and the colour is a bit different. It's more of a tan taupe colour versus the kind of bright white of the Spanish. So if you see ornate ironwork woven into the warm stucco facade, you're likely looking at a Mediterranean Revival. If you see bold geometric patterns and detailing on the exterior, that's the biggest clue you're looking at an Art Deco home, though there are lots of clues with this style of house. This was all about stylization with smooth stucco walls, flat roofs, and zigzag or chevron detailing. Art Deco homes were often also painted a pale pastel colour such as pale pink, blue or green, just to add to the sleek vibe. This style was all about celebration of modern life. It was fast, fashionable and full of flair. So look out for the geometric patterns and detailing. It's a style you don't often see profiled, but the giveaway for the Monterey Revival home is the cantilevered second-storey balcony with a simple wood or wrought iron railing and a small roof overhang. This style blends several others, creating a unique and distinctly California look. The balcony isn't just a design flourish, it reflects the hybrid nature of the style. So if you spot an upper level that juts forward with a shaded balcony underneath, chances are you're looking at a Monterey Revival. Short, steep and symmetrical, the hallmark of a Cape Cod home is a steeply pitched roof with minimal overhang. Originally built by colonists in New England to withstand the harsh weather, the style was revived in the 20th century as part of the American housing boom. These homes are usually single-storey or maybe 1.5 stories with dormer windows and central chimneys. Their charm lies in their restraint. No fuss, no flourish, just clean lines and compact proportions. What defines a brownstone is the material they're made from. These homes are clad in reddish brown or orange brown sandstone, giving the entire block this instantly recognisably warm and earthy tone. Most brownstones are also row homes. They're 3 to 5 stories tall with front stoops and carved stone surrounds, but not all row homes are brownstones. I know it's a bit confusing, but what you need to remember, what specifically makes a brownstone is the warm sandstone that it's made of. With ranch homes, it's all about the long, low profile. These single-storey homes stretch out horizontally on the lot with an attached garage and large picture windows. And they were developed during the post-war housing boom, built for efficiency and suburban living. Now, while they share their horizontal emphasis with the prairie homes, ranches are much more simplified and practical and less architect-driven and ornamental than the prairie. So if you see a home in a long line with minimal ornamentation, single story, you're looking at a ranch. An instant way to spot a split level home is by the sunken lower level windows, which is a clear sign the house sits half a floor below the main entry. This style was designed to separate the main living areas, with the garage and den on the lower level, the kitchen and the main living area in the middle, and the bedrooms on the upper floor. From the outside, a split level can initially look like a ranch, but once you see those offset floors, you instantly know it's a split level home. One of the easiest ways to identify a mid-century modern is by its dramatic roofline, which confusingly could be flat, acutely angled, or butterfly-shaped. These homes embrace simplicity, open floor plans, and a strong connection to nature. And the runner-up feature, which I nearly went with, is mid-century modern homes have their own unique mid-century modern brick. But more on that when we feature this style in its own video individually. Ultimately, today, the unique feature which will help you identify a mid-century modern is the very dramatic and stylized roof angle. You know an A-frame when you see one because the entire house is shaped like a triangle. The steeply pitched roof forms the letter A, and it's so distinctive the whole architectural style is named after the roof. Inside you get soaring ceilings and open lofts, and outside the silhouette is bold and unmistakable. Originally, they were popular as vacation cabins because A-frames were very easy to build. They shed the snow efficiently and looked right at home in any wooded or mountainous setting. The defining feature of a Pueblo Revival is the rounded adobe-style walls. These thick sculptural forms give the building a soft, earthly silhouette. Originally, these walls were made from sun-dried adobe bricks and finished with a hand-applied mud plaster, but that method no longer meets modern construction codes, so today's versions are built with a stucco over a concrete or frame construction to mimic the look. Despite the change of materials, the smooth, organic curves and subtle texture are still what make this style instantly recognisable. What sets a mountain modern home apart is its bold use of glass, steel and wood all in one exterior, a blend of natural and industrial materials that reflect both ruggedness as well as refinement. These homes typically have large expanses of glass and exposed structural elements, and it's also common to see stone or timber paired with very modern industrial cladding around the roof line or the window frames. If this house looks equally at home in a forest or in an architectural magazine, chances are you're looking at a mountain modern. The standout feature of a modern farmhouse is the board and batten siding. This is vertical panels interrupted by spaced narrow strips which kind of cover up the join that add rhythm and pattern to the exterior. Modern farmhouses also include metal roofs, black framed windows and gabled roof lines, but undoubtedly it's the board and batten siding which sets it apart. This is a contemporary take on rural charm, and it's one of the most popular architectural styles being built in the US today. Remember that teaser from the beginning where I said there's that one style which you see everywhere and it doesn't quite fit into any one box? This is it. This is the traditional architectural style. And the giveaway here is actually the lack of defining feature, because these homes borrow bits and pieces from all the other architectural styles, like the gables from the colonials, shutters from Cape Cod, and maybe even the brick from the Tudor. But it blends it in a way it doesn't really follow one architectural style's rule book. And most new suburban homes fit into this category. So if the style feels very familiar, but you can't quite pin it down, it's probably traditional. What defines a contemporary home is its willingness to break the rules. But if there's one feature that stands out, it's the overall asymmetry of the house's facade. These contemporary homes have unusual roof lines, mixed materials, and very large windows. Contemporary design is all about flexibility and responding to current trends, technology, and lifestyles. No two homes feel exactly the same, and that's precisely the point. So if you see a house that feels bold, custom, and unconventional, chances are it's a contemporary. And that wraps up part 2 of our journey through American architectural styles through just one exterior feature. If you've enjoyed this video, please drop a like, share, subscribe, and a note in the comments letting me know which style resonates the most with you and which is the most popular where you live. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week on Homes Explained.